Just let me know when you want me to
Hit
hit that music.
Hit that music. Are you guys ready?
Absolutely.
All right, you can hit the music. Hi everybody, welcome to the Northern Kentucky Chamber Spotlight. Man, I ruined that already. Some of you may notice that this is not Catherine Nero talking to you today. I am Jeremy Schran, Marketing and Communications Director of the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce. Today I'm joined by our Senior VP, Gene Kirshner.
Hey, glad to be here, Jeremy.
And the Northern Kentucky Spotlight is brought to you by CVG and our studio sponsor, Impact Co-work, and our monthly sponsor this month is the University of Kentucky's Gatton College of Business and Economics. You want to tell us about our topics today, Gene?
Absolutely, really excited about our guests today. We have Geoff Marsh, who's with a really cutting-edge consulting firm that's doing some great things here in Greater Cincinnati called AMEND. So happy to hear about that. And of course, one of my favorite people, Miss Nancy Grayson with the Horizon Community Fund of Northern Kentucky, who's going to be telling us all about the super things going on with the Horizon Community Fund, and in particular, an exciting new partnership that was just announced with Kentucky's Sedge.
Awesome. And I did mention that our studio sponsor is Impact Co-work, and for those of you who have listened to us a lot or checked us out on Facebook, you may notice that we're not in Impact Co-work's studio today. We've actually brought us back to what we're calling a pop-up podcast studio.
Pop-up podcast. We are so cutting edge here. We're riding the wave of podcasts. Right?
We are back at the Chamber of Commerce, but Impact Co-work is still our studio sponsor. They have a great location down in Newport, Kentucky. So if you need meeting space, they also have a great podcast studio. So if you're thinking about launching a podcast, they have all the equipment you need. And they also give a discount to chamber members. So your first month of membership of Impact Co-work, you get a 50% discount. All you have to do is enter the code NKY Chamber when you go to checkout. So if you visit impactcowork.com, you can find out more.
Absolutely.
And so we're here with Geoff Marsh. He's a partner at AMEND Business Consulting. Hi, Geoff. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeremy. Thanks so much for having me.
We're glad you're here. So tell us about AMEND. Explain what AMEND does and who you are.
Yeah, so AMEND is a management consulting firm, which, if you're the average person, that means very little to you. So what AMEND does in the management consulting space is we partner with local businesses to tackle their biggest challenges that they're facing, potentially in areas where they either need some horsepower because they don't have the resources, or maybe it's in a particular problem they haven't faced before and they're looking for a little bit of outside help.
Got it. So within that space, what is it that separates you or sets you apart from other players in that space?
Yeah, so what makes AMEND unique is the model that AMEND is built on. So AMEND was built with the idea of if we empower the top young talent in the region and we let the small mid-sized market have access to that top young talent, by partnering together we can achieve great things inside the tri-state. So it's all about empowering what we would consider to be the top tier students in the area, all coming to Cincinnati to try to help build up the tri-state economy together. So it's a lot of fun because it's a self-propelling model where the more top talent you bring in, the more other top talent want to work with them, and then at the end of the day, we're all sitting here solving really cool problems together.
Awesome. How do you find all this talent? Where do you go?
That's a great question. So we go out of our way to try to build relationships with some of the colleges in the area. So through the different, so University of Cincinnati, the OBAS department, through some of the different department heads, we try to be really proactive in knowing that talent's the lifeblood of economy. It's the lifeblood of growth. So once we establish that relationship, the next question becomes, how do we give back to the students and their experience? And by giving them the best possible experience, that relationship starts to naturally foster because it's all about people.
Yeah, I noticed on your website and surveying the personnel that you had, it looked like you had a lot of young talent there. Do you offer internships or co-ops, or is there some mechanism that you have to sort of transition those folks onto your team?
Yeah, so the co-op program is what got me so excited about joining AMEND. We have a co-op program that runs year-round. And for a small consulting firm in Cincinnati, with over 50% of the people on payroll coming through the co-op program, it's a little bit unheard of. So we partner with all those local universities to give their students an opportunity to have a co-op program, an internship. We fit whatever semester, whether it's a summer, winter, fall, spring, we build it around the student, and we build it around what fits inside of their schedule, inside of their graduation cycle, and then we match them with the opportunities that they're interested in.
That's awesome.
That's really awesome. So we've got all this top talent. How are you taking this top talent? How are you leveraging that to change the business landscape?
Yeah, so we're so fortunate to be in 2019 today because technology has taken such a front focus in business and in the world in general. And who better to lead us into that technology than the young generation who grew up using it? So what we try to do is we try to find those unique aspects of where businesses are going that use technology, where everyone needs to learn it. And so if you get those top young minds learning it in tandem with you, and you partner it with that experience of business owners in the area, that combination of learning and experience just unlocks the door to possibilities.
You specifically mentioned technology. In addition to the talent, what specific technologies are you leveraging in order to do your work?
Yeah, we don't choose one. Mm-hmm. We let the business problem choose for us. Okay. What's really cool is we have some incredible talent. So Paul Basir is a name nationally inside of the analytics space who's on our team. We have a number of focuses about how do you use data and information and how do you combine it with whatever the technology in the space is to try to improve the decision that's at hand. We have countless examples of the idea where something newly released from a technology standpoint has now all of a sudden, how many times have you walked into a business and now someone's signing in with an iPad and that's registering all their visitors and it's tracking inside of who their customer base is? How do you link all that up and show the business owner, these are the customers that are driving your business and these are the people you need to connect with?
It's very, very awesome. So what are some more unique traits about AMEND?
Yeah, so AMEND is very unique in that we let the economy of Cincinnati kind of drive where we go. So one of the reasons why we have such a strong presence in analytics is because the market demanded that analytics is the thing of the future. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the other things we're noticing is that when we partner and double down with companies, and we join them in terms of a venture state. So we have a separate organization, it's separate from AMEND Consulting, called AMEND Ventures, but we really look for those small businesses in the area who are either looking to try to throw and grow really quickly, and they want someone to come and join in and have skin in the game with them. So it's a little bit different from the consulting model, but what we noticed was the market was demanding that small businesses want to grow too. And what's the best way to try to help them grow? And that is to try to develop something where you're in it together.
What are the specific obstacles or problems that businesses might be facing when they decide to call on AMEND for assistance?
So the most common problems that people are facing are, how do we use information about our customers and our sales to understand what people we need internally to operate the business? So that blend of where's our business going, we know intuitively what it is, but we want to be able to react nimbly. So I would say scheduling and operating the business is an area that AMEND has a differentiating stake. We also, relative to that analytics space, are developing some pretty unique offerings about our ability to predict future demand, as well as how to package up pricing and pricing analytics so that in a scenario where you need a dynamic answer for the customer, it's not one standard $9.99 stamp that you're slapping on the door. You're finding the right price for the right customer.
Awesome. So small business owners, that are listening, how do they find out more? Where do they go if they're interested in partnering with AMEND?
Yeah, so great question. So obviously we have amendllc.com, our company website, but we can be found on LinkedIn, we can be found on Twitter, we can be found on Instagram. So all of those social media platforms AMEND has a presence on.
And one more question before you go. This month is all about protecting your business in our chamber editorial calendar. And so as a partner, you're a part business owner in AMEND. What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night is worrying about the people of our business. We have such a drive to make sure that everyone, not only the employees at AMEND, but also the people we're partnering with, because it's one ecosystem. So when we hear about stuff happening in the economy that's impacting industries and that's impacting people's lives, that's the type of thing that gets me, it just gets me equally energized as it does nervous as it does that. I mean, that's really what gets us turning. So.
Thank you so much, Geoff, for joining us today. It was a pleasure to hear your guys' story.
Absolutely.
All right, stay with us. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes, and we'll go over our Business Week in Review.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, you're muted.
We're muted. You can talk, but go that way so you don't walk in front of the camera. And then I can actually. You guys can keep sticking around. It was really good. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Absolutely. Hey, it's so nice to meet you too. Okay. Thanks for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully I'll, yeah, we'd love to.
Yeah, you guys can go after your work. You're ready to
Connect a
go.
little bit more with you here.
Yeah, that'd be great. Go this way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Sounds like you can
Just slide through there. Yep. The audio? Oh yeah, absolutely. No problem. Yeah, we should be.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, we're muted. We're muted.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, out there? No, I don't know.
Go ahead.
What's the problem? Because of that thing. Yeah.
CVG is committed to supporting the region's growth and success for years to come. As the premier airport for the tri-state region, an active community leader that helps drive economic growth, and an innovator that delivers an unforgettably positive experience.
Welcome back. And sorry about not muting the camera earlier. It is now. We have now figured out that technical difficulty. I'm back with Gene Kushner.
Absolutely. Glad to be here this afternoon.
And we're here to talk to you about all the cool stuff that's been going around our community recently in the world of business. First off, Really big announcement with the Kentucky's Edge Bourbon Festival and the Horizon Community Fund of Northern Kentucky. They announced a new partnership, but we're going to have more on that in our next segment.
Absolutely, and a lot of buzz around Kentucky's Edge right now. Exciting. And in addition to that, we had a great showing by the business community this past weekend for the Northern Kentucky Pride Festival, so we're really pleased with that.
Yes, they painted a crosswalk down in Covington, and they had a really big parade. It's just been growing in years, and there was lots of business representation down there. North American Properties, the new owners of Newport on the Levee, they just released some very awesome photos of what they think that the levee is going to look like after they do its new transformation.
Absolutely, and you combine that with the the new music venue on the Ovation side, and Newport is truly going to be rocking going into the future.
Yes,
right?
it will. Where's the drum roll, Ben, for that one? But yeah, that's why we put that in there.
Absolutely.
It's really actually for Brent, but Brent's not here today, so you get it. And the construction on that will begin in the end of the year, late summer, and will continue through 2020. I mean, it's going to really take the panoramic views of the river into consideration, and it looks really, really neat.
And I can tell you, I'm particularly excited about New Riff bringing back the big bourbon toast.
I know. I thought it was just going to go away since they were, kicking their bourbon off last year, but they're bringing it back and they're adding Tug of War, which I want to get on the Newport team. How do we get on the Newport team?
Well, I think you just have to sign up, Jeremy. You just
Okay.
have to sign
Yeah,
up.
it'll be fun. Also in Newport, the Italian Festival starts today, and it runs through the weekend.
Absolutely.
My wife is Italian, so we might be stopping down there this weekend.
Absolutely. Should be a great weekend for that.
Yep. We had a couple ribbon cuttings this week. The Smoothie King in Newport, Kentucky opened up. It's a new standalone store. It's right by the Planet Fitness in between where Jersey Mike's is down there. It's a really great new store. They have some great smoothies, and it keep you healthy.
Absolutely. And speaking of healthy, St. Elizabeth announced this week that actually opened up this week their Women's Health Center in Edgewood, which was an exciting development in our community, and consistent with their mission to make Northern Kentucky the healthiest region in the country.
Yes, awesome. And we also have a lot of really great events coming up, so you can check out the Chamber calendar for a full list of all of our events, but some that we wanted to highlight this week is the Women's Initiative Golf Outing. It's coming up on the 18th, and that is a really, really great event. It's good for people who haven't golfed that much because they have a golf academy come in and give some tips and stuff, and it's a really, really fun event, and we always look forward to it every year, and the foursomes are limited, and it's getting close to being sold out, so be sure to get in there and register for that.
Absolutely, and also we have a business after hours coming up on June 19th. Going to be down at Grandview Tavern. Should be a great time. Hopefully, it'll be a nice weather that evening. Everybody can get out on the patio and enjoy some libations. Maybe we'll see Nancy Grayson down there. You never know.
And the last one we wanted to mention is my personal favorite, because I've been pushing for it for a while now. Is we're going to actually have a food truck rally here at the Chamber offices for lunch. You know how I like my food. The food trucks we have coming are Pretzelfuls and Kona Ice, and it's going to be located right behind BB&T in the parking lots of the Chamber Center. It should be a fun time. There'll be a lot of people there and some great food.
We're all about fun and food here at
Fun and food and bourbon.
Chamber. And bourbon, yes.
All right, that's it for the Business Week in Review. We will be back in just a few moments with Nancy Grayson.
The nation's premier professional MBA program is now only a click away, offered 100% online in class or a combination of both by the University of Kentucky's Gatton College of Business and Economics. The real-time online MBA gives you the accessibility, flexibility, and accountability you need to advance your career and stand out in the workplace. The new online option is also available for Gatton's dedicated professional MBA for leaders in healthcare. Application deadline for fall 2019 is July 1st. It's coming up. Learn more and apply today at gatton.uky.edu/online MBA.
And we're back. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you for having me.
Our next guest is Nancy Grayson, president of the Horizon Fund of Northern Kentucky, and she's here to talk to us about the new partnership between Kentucky's Edge and the Horizon Fund.
And also to tell us a little bit about all the great things going on at the Horizon Community Fund of Northern Kentucky.
Yes, there's actually quite a lot happening right now. We are excited. We just announced with Kentucky's Edge, we had a press event yesterday morning to launch our partnership and share how there's a charitable aspect to the bourbon. I'm calling it an experience, not just a conference or a festival, but really this opportunity to showcase Northern Kentucky now will impact Northern Kentucky too for generations to come.
They're calling it the South by Southwest of bourbon.
I love that.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing.
And if you haven't, I actually had the chance to present at South by Southwest a couple of years ago. So if you haven't experienced that, it is not an event. It is an experience for sure, and it's all over the place, and it's several weeks actually with different components to it. So it's quite a concept, and I think we have the chance to really do something special here around bourbon with that same theme.
Yes, I'm excited that it's going to grow our identity as Northern Kentuckians and showing something that has deep roots in our Commonwealth community.
Yes. So let's start off with, tell us a little bit about the mission of the Horizon Fund.
Sure. So we actually are a pretty new organization. We launched in 2017, not even quite 2 years ago, and we are a community foundation. There are 800 in the United States. We are one of the newer ones. We are a public charity that grants towards charitable needs and nonprofit organizations in Northern Kentucky. So our mission is to raise the quality of life for all members of our Northern Kentucky community, which is a pretty big mission.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So within the scope of that, what kinds of cool projects do you have going on, Nancy?
Thanks. Well, beyond our partnership, which we just announced, we have a lot of ways that we're trying to focus on how do we push out the work into the community and create a more robust culture of philanthropy. And so this means not just working with people who maybe are seasoned philanthropists or people who've served on boards and have been longtime donors, but also people who maybe are a little younger, young professionals, young families, even students. And so we have a lot of different initiatives we're launching. Two of the most recent ones that we just started to launch are giving circles. This is where people come together and give a certain amount of money, the same amount, and then they pool that money together and they decide where the money goes. So the two different ones we have, we just launched the 410, which represents the first 3 digits of our zip code. That is a YP, or an emerging philanthropist giving circle. I don't want to be too prescriptive about what age anyone is. We want people to feel comfortable participating, and so they each bring $410 and decide where that money goes. The other one we're doing right now is called Give Where You Live, NKY. That's a speed philanthropy giving circle. People commit to doing this for a year for 4 different meetings, each once a quarter. They're only an hour long. Everyone comes together, gives their $100, pulls that together. Then they put the name of a nonprofit they care about in the hat. 3 are chosen. They discuss them, and then all within an hour they decide where that money goes. Our first meeting, we gave $6,000 to the Shave and Care Center, and it all happened within under an hour. So it's pretty exciting. We're trying to reach people in different ways and maybe in different kind of communities that have happened before.
Awesome. So the partnership with Kentucky's Edge was announced. You can give us some detail about that partnership. How is it actually going to work?
Yes, so this is pretty straightforward. There's a growing trend nationally, internationally, where people really want to see a charitable impact when they're shopping, when they're working, playing, and so it's important that we really felt for this new festival, this new experience, that there be an impact in the community. And so about a year ago, I have started conversations with Kevin Canifax of Fidelity and Bill Donabedian his partner in crime for the Brandemonium and many other events that Bill has helped to launch. And then also Brent Cooper, our listeners will know well at the Chamber. And so we talked about what could we do collectively as a region to make sure that this is not just benefiting really, the industry itself for people who are involved with bourbon, but also the community at large. And so this is one of the ways that we see people being able to give back, and even if it's doing something that they love, which would be learning about the history of bourbon, or perhaps participating in the Main Strasse Craft Fair, or even sampling some of our delicious bourbon wares.
And obviously, you saw a connection between the mission of the Horizon Fund and the purpose behind this event. Could you talk a little bit about that? The community impact that we're going for with this endeavor?
Yes, and this is something I think a lot of the growth organizations in Northern Kentucky, we constantly talk about our identity as Northern Kentuckians, as a group or as a region. And for us, our organization really is founded on those deep intertangled roots that we have as a community. And that's something that I know Kentucky's Edge, the founders, the original sponsors, they really want to make sure that we are able to reflect that common unity that we have as a region, and making sure that it celebrates that uniqueness that we have. We're part of Kentucky, we're part of Cincinnati, and we're also just uniquely Northern Kentucky. So we wanted to make sure, how do we help celebrate that in a way? In this particular case, it has to do with bourbon, and there'll be other opportunities, I know, moving ahead where we can help continue celebrate our Northern Kentucky roots.
Yeah, I think sometimes as Kentuckians we perhaps don't grasp the full impact that those assets that we have that are international in their scope, like bourbon and like the Derby and horses, the horse racing industry, that those are two international assets that really other states in the Union really can't say that they have. I mean, people in every country of the world know bourbon, and they know the Kentucky Derby.
Yes, they do. Actually, when my family lived in Boston, those were usually the first things that people raised when they said, "Oh, Kentucky." So I'm proud that we can celebrate this. I think the big thing is that as people are now having this charitable impact, this will be really a way for them to invest in the community for generations to come. They aren't having to write a large check for that opportunity. What they're doing is they're just doing what they normally would do, which is enjoying other members of the community.
Going to the party.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Do we have anything else going on at the Horizon Fund you want to talk about? We talked about the giving circles. We talked about the new partnership.
Sure. We have actually a group called the Horizon Community Accelerator. This is a group of 40 to 45 social influencers, community leaders who came together to talk about what some of the current issues are that they care about. Maybe it doesn't have to do with their professional day-to-day life, but it's something that they think is of concern for the community. And so over the last year, we've been having a really great conversation with different agencies about homelessness awareness, serving youth and families who might be experiencing homelessness or at risk of that. And so how are we working together as a community? And that group has several initiatives that we'll be rolling out later this summer to support needs financially and with information, and also to help some of the prevention needs that we might be able to do. So we're partnering with some other different groups in the community for that, and stay tuned. We'll have some more exciting announcements as this summer continues to roll on.
Awesome. So if you're looking to go to the Kentucky's Edge Bourbon Festival or get some of those VIP experiences are already online. So if you go to the Kentucky's Edge website, you can do that. But if they want to get involved with anything else with the Horizon Community Fund, how do we do that?
Sure. The easiest way is to go online, as is the case for most organizations, and that's www.horizonfunds.org.
Awesome. And then the question of the month, either as a president of a nonprofit or if you were a business owner, what would keep you up at night? What keeps you up at night?
Yeah, actually, I think for me, it's communicating our message and reaching out in the community. We don't want to be drawing people in. We want to really be pushing out into the community and connecting with people where they are. So communication and marketing, it's a tricky thing that we're all talking about. How do we reach people where they are? Technology's changing this a lot. So
great podcast.
Yes, grateful opportunities with the podcast. And so that keeps me up, trying to figure out how do we connect with people in their own community.
Awesome. And that's an interesting observation, and certainly one that many organizations are really trying to wrestle with right now, including the Chamber. How do we get that message out? And in this age of everybody being the media,
Yes.
How do you do that most effectively? Which is what this podcast is all about, right?
And you do a great job with the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nancy, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And giving us the whole rundown there.
Yes.
So, next week's topics. Gene, you want to talk about next week's topics?
Absolutely. Well, you know what? It just so happens that next week is going to be particularly delicious.
I can't
Jeremy,
wait. I cannot
because
wait.
We're going to have guests from the Farm Stand restaurant and also Moonrise Donuts. And should I ask you, have you had the hot donut?
Oh, of course.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yes.
Oh my
You
goodness.
gotta spin there
Oh
to get
my
there.
goodness.
They
You
are
have not
incredible.
had the hot donut.
And Farm Stand's food is unbelievable.
Absolutely
They
delicious.
just opened a new location inside Wooden Cask.
Yes.
So you can get some food there while you're getting some really great beer.
Absolutely.
So that should be a great show. So that's about it for this week. I want to again thank our sponsors, our title sponsor CVG, our monthly sponsor UK Gatton College of Business and Economics, and our studio sponsor Impact Cowork in Newport, Kentucky. I am your host this week, Jeremy Schran, joined by Gene Kushner, Senior VP, and next week, Catherine's still on vacation, but we got Brent Cooper. Brent Cooper is going to be the co-host. And then, again, thanks to our guests, Geoff Marsh and Nancy Grayson, for being here today. And thanks for Ben over there figuring out all our technical difficulties and making sure that this thing gets on the interwebs. We'll see you next week.